Hey everybody, this is just a setup that I did for a life drawing class, and you can kind of see it's the skeleton with a couple moose antlers. It's really about shape. So we're dealing with shape now, just cutting out these forms. I'm going to show you a little bit about how to cut shape. Let's say I want to make a spiral. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around in a circle, and I'm going to start going inside of it. You're going to have to make a second cut to reveal the spiral. Otherwise it's just going to fold back in on itself, and I'll show you that in just a second. But I'm moving the paper around and I'm keeping the scissors in one spot. A lot of this is just to start to get you to get some good hand skills. So, you know, you might think that that would do it. If it popped up it would work, but don't be cute. Don't do that. See what happens. It all goes back in on itself. But if I make a second cut that just goes in like this, I'm going to end up with two spirals from the piece that gets cut away and also the piece that I'm cutting. So we'll just go in just like this. Now this stuff is a little bit stiff. It may break on you, but you can glue it back together. You know, as I said in the earlier video, if you've got some softer paper, like an old sketchbook or something, you could be using that. And there's the two pieces as I separate them. There's a spiral, there's a second spiral. And you know, the pieces that you end up using that get cut, these kind of negative pieces, these things can work beautifully, and they're going to also figure into things that we're doing. You put two lines down, you immediately have a pattern. Things can go over the top of each other. You've got an X, or you can have a pattern. If you're cutting a zigzag shape like this, just back and forth. Say if I cut that out, if I follow this again, I immediately have a pattern. Whoops, goes like this. So it's almost like you've got little pieces of wood or something and you're moving them against each other. So you could cut out, you know, you could go on and on and on with this, but you know, things like this shape, which almost looks like a machine part, when you put this on top of it, that's kind of cool. Maybe these go alongside with this, and then some line comes in, and then lines cross, so that things can build up in a certain kind of way. It's great if you keep it abstract, because it just keeps you going with forms. And even little incidental pieces like this, I've had students make great stuff just out of these little scraps, just because they add like a weird tension. Now they flip over, you got to mess with them, but you can kind of see right here they show up. Or you might have one of these things at home, which is a hole punch. With these, this is fantastic stuff. And you can kind of just see those black dots randomly landing on here. And then you've also got this cool pattern piece. I don't know if you have that or you don't have that. And it's really hard to cut these things. You can cut some forms with a knife, but you need to be really, really careful if you're doing that with your hand above the cut and on top of the green board. Just because if you slip, you're going to be in the emergency room. Those snap-off knives are really sharp. So that's like, even right here, it's like, you know, you end up with almost kind of a figure, right? Kind of cuckoo, and the cuckoo times that we're in right now kind of reflects that. Okay, so just cut a bunch of forms. The more you cut, the more options you have. It's like having sounds on a guitar or something, so that something like this could fill into here, this could end up in here. You know, things can really change around. You start to get spatial things that are happening. One thing's bigger than the other, so it appears to go back into space. You're going to be a little challenged to get this stuff glued down. Just do the best you can. You know, it's only for presentation, and you're going to send it to me, so when you glue these things, you don't have to smother it with glue. Just kind of spot glue it around and then stick it down. Otherwise you'll go crazy. And you might want to glue this on top of another piece of paper, like a piece of scrap paper, because your glue stick's going to get everywhere. Okay, that's it.